having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video finally reaches you. Today's video, you guys, is super eerie because we're going to be reacting to and hearing people's terrifying experiences while working the night shift. Now, my uncle actually worked the night shift for a big portion of his life, and he told me that some pretty spooky things happen when you work the night shift. And so I'm really interested to hear some of the most terrifying real experiences with those who work the night shift. Before we get into today's video though, I'm very excited to share today's video sponsor with you guys, Hailey's. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I personally have really sensitive skin, and nothing would irritate me more than going to the store, buying an extremely overpriced razor, and then still having it irritate my skin despite the high price point. Hailey's founders, Jeff and Andy, were also tired of overpaying for designer razors and realized that they weren't alone. Their answer was to start Hailey's, a personal care brand that's reinventing the way you shave. So Hailey's actually sent me their starter set, which includes a weighted handle with textured rubber grip, a 5-blade razor cartridge, foaming shaving gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades when you're on the move. It's an insanely good value with refills starting at just $2. Plus, Hailey's actually just came out with their sharpest blades ever and didn't even raise their price, which is amazing. Better yet, not only does Hailey's guarantee a close, comfortable shave, but they also are continuously giving back, giving 1% of their sales to organizations that promote better mental health care. Honestly, in my opinion, the deal Hailey's currently have on their trial set is absolutely amazing, as it gives you everything that you need for a perfect, close, comfortable shave. So make sure you guys click the link down in my description, harrys.com/Hailey Reese, to get your trial set for just $3. Yeah, you heard that right. By clicking the link in my description, harrys.com/Hailey Reese, you will get your trial set for $3. So thank you so much to Hailey's for changing the way I shave and for also sponsoring today's video. But with all of that being said, let's get into some of the most terrifying night shift encounters. So here's the first one. It says, working in a restaurant at 2:30 a.m., some dude showed up and was watching us through the front window. He seemed drunk at first, so we ignored him for a few minutes. Turned back around, and he had a huge rock in his hands. He lifted it above his head and slammed it against the window, shattering the outside layer. He then looked directly at us and said, "I'm going to kill all of you." We dialed the police immediately and armed ourselves with kitchen knives. He ended up wandering back to his car and speeding off. The cops got there maybe 8 minutes later and couldn't find the guy. We were robbed at gunpoint a few nights later. I just walked out and I never went back. That would be absolutely traumatic. I've said it so many times to you guys. I'm a paranormal channel. I love the paranormal. I've had paranormal experiences since I was a kid. But nothing scares me more than what human beings are capable of. And stories like this really freak me out. Like, could you imagine a guy actually taking a rock, shattering the window, and saying that he was going to kill all of you? Oof. The next story says, worked overnights in a lab. One night, there was a guy at the bus stop at the end of the drive leading to our building. It was exceptionally weird because no buses were running until the morning. He had a backpack on, and for the whole 8 hours, he just stood there with his back to the road, staring at our building. Okay, so at first when I started reading this, I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe he doesn't know the buses aren't coming until the morning. I've had, there's a bus stop at the, exit of my subdivision, and I've had people ask me, hey, do you know if the buses are running today? Do you know if a bus is gonna come? So it's not too far-fetched to think that maybe he was waiting, hoping for a bus to come by, but for 8 hours and to not even be looking at the road, to be staring at the building is really creepy. I actually remember one time when Tyler and I were at the movie theater. I can't remember what movie we were seeing, but it was a scary movie, and this was in LA. We were living in LA at the time. This is 100% a true story, and it still freaks me out to this day. So like I said, it was a scary movie, and nearing the end of the movie, when there was probably about 10 minutes left, some guy walked in with a big giant backpack and sat at the very front of the theater, right down along the bottom of the theater. And Tyler and I started feeling so sick. We were like, do we leave? Do we stay? Nobody else acted like it was weird, so we ended up just staying. The movie finished. The guy stayed sitting, and we all walked out, and thank goodness nothing happened. But I just remember being like, I don't want to assume. I don't want to make this guy feel like I'm afraid of him, but he's coming in with a big backpack and there's only like 10 minutes left of the movie and he didn't even get a good seat. He was staring directly like this, and you know if you're sitting at the front, you're supposed to look up like that. Well, if you want to see it. So I can understand how that would be a really scary experience because it just reminds me of that experience that we had in LA a few years ago. This is the next one. Working night shift at a care home, about 2 in the morning, the doorbell rings. We go to investigate and find a man at the front door. He asks if he can use the phone as his car is broken down. We go get the phone, and when we come back to the door, he's gone. Weird, but we think maybe he's just gone to his car or something. We go back to sit down, but can see down the corridor the man is now inside, standing in the TV room. He doesn't see us, so we run and hide. We still have the phone, so we call the cops, and they take a while to get to us. About 15 minutes or later, the cops show up. We let them in and they search the place to calm us down. The man isn't found anywhere. We're back watching TV and chatting, a bit calmer now when we hear the front door open and close. Go to investigate and start calling the cops again. We look out the window to see the man running away down the driveway. He'd been in the home the entire time the cops were there. That really freaks me out. It freaks me out because when I was growing up, a lot of these things I can relate to different experiences in my life, and I can just understand the fear that they must have been feeling. When I was a kid, I've actually told this story on my channel. My family home was broken into, and we didn't know, like, we knew that the man came inside. There was footprints in the house. He flickered his lighter. Like, so many things were happening. But for so long after, when the cops came and searched the house and the property and everything, I was wondering if there was a way the cops might have missed them in the home. Like, were they still in there somehow? And so to hear that in this particular situation, the man was still in the facility, but yet they didn't find him, and just knowing that they were starting to feel better about it and he was actually inside of there really freaks me out. And I feel like that's something that sticks with you for a while, just knowing that you never truly know if someone's around or what their motives are. So that really freaks me out. All right, the next one. I was a janitor at a local gym. I was mopping the floors and had my back to the door. I turned around and there was a man dressed in a super sketchy dollar store looking UPS costume. He had his face pressed against the glass, smiling and tapping the window with one finger. That literally sounds like a horror movie. It scared the life out of me. He said to let him in, he had to deliver a package. Mind you, it's 1:30 a.m. I said F that and called the cops. They then found him trying to break into a house down the road. And there's no update on if he had any ulterior motives. I mean, clearly he was trying to break into a house now, so something wasn't right, but that's why you always have to trust your gut and your intuition. In any situation, even if you look rude to somebody, you have to trust your gut and your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, chances are it's not right. So the guy made the right choice to look at the guy and be like, hey, number one, it doesn't look like a real uniform to me. Number two, it's 1:30 in the morning. And number three, he had a bad feeling. So clearly something wasn't right there, and I wonder what the truth behind it is. I was working at a property management company just out of college and had done a showing the day before. I accidentally took the keys home, and I knew there was another showing at 8 a.m. the next day, but I wasn't starting until the afternoon. I didn't realize until around 1 a.m., so I went back to drop them in the chute of the door, as it was only a 10-minute drive. The office was in an office park and was pretty much empty, except for a few random cars. Well, I got out and started walking to the front. One of the cars, a white van, was started, and they turned their high beams on, which were pointed in my direction. Nearly pissing my pants, I walked the final few steps and dropped the keys into the slot and ran back to my car. As I was driving away, the van came all the way to the edge of the lot and just stopped there. After my panic calmed down, I realized it was probably just a security guard on break trying to see what I was doing. But when I told my boss the story, he said there are no hired security, as he is one of the owners of the office park. My boss spoke to the police and they promised they'd swing by for a few nights that week. Nobody ever saw the van again. I don't know what their intentions were, but I'm glad I didn't find out. So this reminds me, I saw a TikTok recently, you guys, and it was of this girl who was working at a grocery store, and there was one single cart behind this car waiting in the parking lot, and her job was to go and round up the carts at the end of her shift. And she was basically saying how there's no way that she's planning on doing that because she feels as though they'll just open up the trunk and grab her. Like, it was just so strange how, I'm gonna see if I can find the TikTok and insert it for you guys, but it was basically this cart sitting at, like, right next to this car, the only car in the parking lot. And people had actually brightened up the video and said they could see a man like hovering in the trunk of the van waiting to grab her. And it was one of those TikToks where I was like, thank goodness she shared it. That is so important. She said, you know what, if I get in trouble tomorrow, I get in trouble, but that cart is gonna stay right there because I'm uncomfortable to go out and retrieve it, even though that was what her job was. And it's just one of those things where you really need to pay attention to your surroundings and just pay attention to things like that, because you never know someone's motive. And as much as you'd like to believe, it could have very well been a cart out there that the car just happened to be next to, but it just screamed that something was off. And I just think it's so important for all of us to just be really, really careful and use our gut intuition, pay attention to our surroundings, and if it doesn't feel right, take care of yourself first. I was 3 months into being a driver, graveyard shift for a well-known company. Anyways, never got an uneasy feeling at this job site / warehouse ever. But one night about 2 a.m., something felt off. I couldn't shake it. It was like I was being watched, but I was the only one at the warehouse, and we do have security that would watch us on CCTV. The security isn't on site, literally a warehouse that would keep products in and ship back out. I was alone picking up more items to run back out to stores. I kept shaking this feeling off. I'd pause and look around the parking lot outside and the other surrounding warehouses. There wasn't a single sound, just crickets and the wind, but I felt off. I decided to roll down the warehouse doors and secure my truck and step inside to take a leak. I was in the bathroom inside and ended up having to poop when my phone alerted me. It was security. I ignored the first 3 calls. 4th call I picked up. My name. We've detected movement at the warehouse inside. Are you secure? Where is your current position? I tell them I'm not in the warehouse and all doors are secure. They make note the alarm system is inactive and doors outside the warehouse are closed, etc. I'm wrapping up using the bathroom and I get the goosebumps. They said they would check the cameras and call me back to stay put. I finish up and look out the doors to the warehouse. It's empty besides product. Doors are definitely secured and nothing's unlocked. You couldn't get in. Trust me. They call back. We've detected movement again. The sensors are saying there's movement in the warehouse. Are you currently inside the warehouse? I'm literally looking outside the warehouse at this point and nothing is there. I report again, nothing is there. But again, I have the chills. Quickly, I run to my truck and take off. I'm gone for 2 hours and they call me once again saying movement is detected, but they don't seem to see anything on the million-plus cameras. I arrive back with some cardboard boxes we had to break down and put into different bins. I'm all by myself this time in the actual warehouse and I get a feeling I'm being watched. I can't describe it, but it's like someone was around the corner just staring at me. I couldn't shake it. I finished up my work. I get a text message before my shift that day from my boss saying we need to talk before my shift. Long story short, he tells me someone died in the warehouse 10 or so years ago and that it's haunted. We walked out the warehouse and right where I felt uneasy at the bins, he stopped without me saying anything and said, "This is where I always feel someone's watching me." I've never had another experience besides that night. That's so interesting to me. It's almost as though that one night was just more active than any other night and he really had an authentic experience sensing that spirit. I always find it interesting, especially with doing what I do, when you have certain feelings in certain locations and you come to learn that that's a specific spot that other people have those feelings, or maybe it's the spot that the tragedy took place, and it just validates that it isn't all in your head. It really is real. Well, you guys, those are some scary experiences from night shift workers. Do any of you guys work the night shift, or do you work late somewhere, and have you had any eerie experiences? Let me know those in the comments below if you have. Also, I would love to know which one of these freaked you out the most. And with that being said, that is it for today's video. Once again, I would just like to thank Harry's for sponsoring today's video. As I said, you guys, you can get your trial set for just $3. All you have to do is click the link down in my description, harrys.com/Hailey Reese. And yeah, that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, but you do enjoy my videos, I would absolutely love and appreciate it so much if you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.